started off with, actually we continued speaking about a mission statement. What's a mission statement, Melissa?
It's your goals and values. It's like a personal one, and then there's like a general mission statement for your life.
Right, and it's basically a short few sentences that, like, it's the elevator pitch. That's what it is. You know what the elevator pitch is? Is like you're in an elevator with someone. You have, you have like a few seconds. Like, how are you going to pitch them your job? Like, opportunity, your job, whatever. If you need to raise money, like an elevator pitch, how are you going to do it? That's kind of what a mission statement was. I remember thinking that very clearly. I was once in Manhattan, and I was in an elevator. It was one of those elevators that shoot up like 60 floors. You know what I'm talking about? So I'd gone to the elevator, and there were like 5 monks there, and they were dressed in monk clothing. And like they were you just don't see that in Manhattan. You just don't see 5 monks walking around like dressed, and they had this like peaceful look on their face. And it's just my nature. I had to speak to them. But it was in an elevator, and I had like a second, like literally a second. But it's, for whatever reason, I feel compelled to speak to people. And so I said to them, I was like, hi, how come you guys wear that clothing? And then when we got out, well, the answer is because that's what their masters wear. That is the answer. Which is why Orthodox people wear black and white and this hat, just because the rabbis wore it. There's nothing in the Torah that says that. So when we got out, my husband said, of all things you ask, like if there's anything you're going to ask a monk, you ask like, why are you wearing it? I'm like, I didn't have time to think about it. Like I didn't have time to ask him like existential, why did the Buddha not answer for 40 days when he sat under the tree? You know what I mean? I didn't have time to think about that, premeditate that. So this is like the elevator pitch of like when you're in an elevator with someone, like what are you going to say to them? We told the story of Alfred Nobel, right? Who by mistake, they posted his obituary instead of his brother who passed away. And they said he was the merchant of death, right? And he was known as a ruthless man because his company produced and sold dynamite, right? So he's a ruthless man. As he was looking at this, he said, is this the legacy that I'm leaving over? And then he changed and he started the Nobel Peace Prize. We gave the story of the candles when they went to this king's party. Do you remember? Do you remember? They went to a party. This king, right? It was like the end of his career, and he gave everyone a candle in the middle of the party. The light went out. The big chandelier in the middle went out. And he told everyone to light their candle, right? So we were saying how the Zohar says there's no two people on earth who can accomplish the same mission at the same time. We each have our own unique mission, and that's what we're getting at today. What is my specific path? Last class we spoke about, which was, does this mean like I'm committed for life, right? Remember having this conversation? Like, am I committed? And the idea was no, but if you don't even have the vision, it for sure won't happen, right? The idea is to have the vision. Okay, we said Stephen Covey was saying how there are 2 areas that we're working on. We're working on the vision, the dream we'll call it. What do I want to do 5 to 10 years from now? And there's something called goals. Goals are short term within the next 2 to 3 years, right? And so the dream is the cloud in the sky, and the goals are the ladder getting there. And the image that Stephen Covey painted was if the ladder is leaning, let's say, on a wall, then every step you take is one step closer to the wrong destination. So we're working on making sure our ladders are leaning on the right wall. We're together so far? Yes. Okay. So there's an interesting Gemara in Brachos that says, a person who doesn't dream for 7 days is called Ra. What does Ra mean?
Bad.
Right? We translate Ra as bad, Ra as evil, right? Why would the Gemara be saying a person who doesn't dream is called evil, right? Not everyone dreams. For 7 days, yeah. Not everyone dreams. I personally don't have dreams. By the way, I'll continue in a moment. Here's a tip for life. If you have bad dreams, I'll write it on the board.
Maybe you try to pray 3 times.
Yes. What is it? Not a prayer. It's 3 words. It's this. It really works. Shalom, Tov, V'Shalom. I remember learning, you say that 3 times. Shalom, which means a dream. Tov means good. Shalom is peaceful. Shalom, Tov, V'Shalom. Shalom, Tov, V'Shalom. Shalom, Tov, V'Shalom. I now say it every night. I just say it every night before I go to bed. Baruch Hashem, I don't have nightmares usually.
So you don't have dreams either, so.
I know. I think about that sometimes. But we do have dreams. It just means I don't remember it. I discovered this like 15 years ago after watching the movie The Ring. Any of you seen the movie? Okay, so after seeing the, what? Yeah, exactly. So I couldn't fall asleep, and so I was like, how do I get that girl in the well out of my head? So I learned that. Okay, so any ideas why if you don't dream for 7 days could you be called Ra? Yes, sorry, I didn't get back to you.
The dreaming, could it be also like not necessarily in your sleep, but like I dream that like someday this could happen for me? Like could that also be?
Lily, right?
Yeah.
Not Kelly, not Lily. Okay, that is exactly what the Gra says. The Gra, the Vilna Gaon, who lived in the 1700s. He said that exact thing. He said, what does that mean that if you don't dream for 7 days, you're called Ra? He said that's not talking about dreaming while you're sleeping. It's talking about dreaming while you're awake. You can't blame someone if they don't have dreams, right? And why is it a good thing if you dream for 7 days? Just because you have dreams doesn't make you good. Saying it's talking about dreaming, having dreams for yourself. And why 7 days, by the way? Yes, Lily?
Another question. I feel like, I don't know if this is just like poking at something that, whatever.
We like pokes.
Great. I feel like a murderer could have the dream like, for myself, I want to be able to go out and kill that person. They suck. I want to kill them. That'll make me feel great. They're not a bad person then because they had a dream for themselves, but they...
So we're going to get to, we're going to not discussing murder, but we're going to discuss why he's called evil. You're saying the fact that he had a dream, that's a great question. You're saying the fact that he had a dream, but it was a bad dream, that means he's good, even though it's a bad dream. Is that your question? So that's what we're going to discuss. Let me first answer this of why 7 days, by the way. Because 6 days a week, there's an excuse for everything because we're busy and we're meant to be busy. Angels don't leave footprints, right? Angels are perfect. We are human beings. We're in this world. This is why we have the Torah and not the angels, but we're busy. But every 6 days, we have the 7th day called Shabbos, and Shabbos is the day Shabbos comes from the word shuv, to return, right? We're returning to ourselves. We have time to think and introspect. But what Lily is touching on is, what does the word Ra mean? Does that mean if I don't have a vision for myself, I'm bad? No. You know, people I speak to, 30-year-olds, who are like, I don't know what I want to be. I finished college. Like, I made my parents proud. That's the end of it. So what does Ra mean? Yeah, no, don't. I want to hear girls talk. I hear my voice all the time. That's what it means. That's exactly the word that it means. Where'd you get that word from? Trua. That's exactly it. We blow the shofar trua. 9 So 9 broken sounds. What Ra means disconnected. So someone who doesn't dream for 7 days doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just means I am so disconnected from myself. I'm not in touch with myself. So what does that mean in regards to murder, right? Does that mean that it's Ra? Not necessarily. He's saying he is connected to himself if that's really his goal. But I don't think a murderer actually wants what he's doing, unless someone's absolutely twisted. But I don't think that, unless someone's deeper conversation, unless someone's intrinsically evil, which there are very few people who are intrinsically evil, that's not what they want. There's something bigger why they're doing that. So Ra means disconnected. The word for dream, how do you say dream in Hebrew? Chalom, right? Chalom is the same word as lechem, which means bread, right? What bread does to our body is what dreams do to our soul. To have a vision, to have something bigger I'm going to stand for, to have something bigger that I'm going to get out of this place, right? There's a friend, I hope I remember the details. It was such an intense story. My husband's friend, he's from LA. He came to visit last year his grandmother who survived Auschwitz. He came to visit her, and he stayed at our house one night. And I wouldn't tell you the story if I didn't hear it with my own ears till 1 o'clock in the morning on our living room couch. came to visit his grandmother, who unfortunately she passed away 5 months later from then. But she was sent to Auschwitz, and she had no clue what happened to her sisters. She had no clue what happened to her brothers. She had no clue what happened to her parents, to her family, to nothing. And one day she worked in the laundry room. It was a group of women who worked in the laundry room, and there was one man there also. And she was walking, and on her way to the laundry room, there's the men's camp on one side. She was able to pass the men's camp. On the other side, there was another women's camp. One day, as she's walking to the laundry room, she passes by a group of women on the other side, and she starts talking to them. She says, her name was Shayna. I forget her last name. Her name was Danny. I forget his last name. Her name was Shayna. Let's say Shayna Gold. She said, "Oh, my name is Shayna Gold." They said, "Oh, Shayna Gold, are you related to Miriam?" She's like, "That's my sister." And she said, "What do you mean, my sister's there?" She's like, "Yeah, your sister's here." She said, "They can't." She's like, "My sister's alive?" She said, "Yeah, your sister." She said, "Tell her I say hi. Tell her I'm in the camp right here." So life went on. So she was a young woman at this time. And the Nazis, Yamach Shemam, may their names be erased, they started taking advantage of this woman, Shayna. And every night they would take her out and they would do what they did to her. But to kind of like feed her, they would, like payment for her duties, they would give her, like, throw her an extra piece of bread. And she took that bread and she gave it to the woman. She said, "Give this to Miriam, tell her it's from me." And that happened on a daily basis. So she almost felt like martyr, like, I'm doing this for these soldiers, at least I'm feeding my sister. One day she's speaking to some other woman, and she said, how's Miriam? They said, "Miriam who?" "Miriam Gold. Like, she passed away months ago." Right? Like, she passed away months ago. Like, she got off the train, and a few days later she passed away. And these women, which you obviously can't blame, the whole time they were pretending she was still alive so they could get the bread. One day she is walking to the laundry room, and she sees her father on the other side of the camp. And also she sees her father. She didn't even know he was still alive. And she starts running. She says, "Tate," right? "Daddy." And he starts running to her. And he puts his hand in his pocket to give her some food. And as he puts his hand in his pocket, a soldier comes and shoots him in the head in front of her. She couldn't take it. She starts running to the fence. She was just going to, take her own life. And this guy comes behind her, and he holds her. He saved her life. So as the story goes on, she had a dream one night where there was this big luscious field. And in the field, she had heard her grandmother's voice, who was no longer alive. And her grandmother said, "Shayna, you have to sing. You have to sing. It's the only thing that's going to keep you alive." She said, "That's weird." She had the dream again a second night. She said, "Shayna, you have to sing. It's the only thing that's going to keep you alive." And she didn't think anything of it. The next day, the soldiers rounded them all up, and they brought them to this big open field, and they said, "Dig." And she said, this looks very familiar. And she said, "This looks like the place in my dream." And she said, "My grandmother said to sing." So as they're digging, she starts singing children's lullabies, were the only songs she could remember. And she starts singing these children's lullabies. And the Nazis tell her, I don't even want to say the word, but they said, shut up. And she sings even louder. Her grandma said, "It's the only thing that's going to keep you alive." And she sings even louder, like, "Shut up." And she sings louder until one of them takes his rifle and knocks her in the head, and she falls into the pit. She's woken up a few hours later by an American soldier saying, "Are you alive?" Right? The war was over, and at the end of the war, when the Germans realized that they were losing, they just wanted to do whatever it was to mass killing, as if it wasn't enough. And they had these women digging their own graves, and they shot all of the women. She woke up in a big pit of dead bodies. She was the only one alive, and they thought she was dead because she was knocked unconscious by the rifle. Fast forward 20 years later, this must have been more actually, 40 years later, she moved to Jerusalem. She moved to Jerusalem, and she was at Yad Vashem. She's at Yad Vashem, and to her, this was her history. And she's showing her daughter, this guy who was at her house, Danny's mother. She's showing her the pictures. And I remember this, and I remember this. And she stops by a certain picture, And there, she said to her daughter, she said, I was there when that picture was taken. She said, that was the laundry room. I was there when that picture was taken, and there was this one man who saved my life. And she told her daughter this story of almost going onto the fence while they were at Yad Vashem. She said, I refused to be in the picture because I knew the Nazis were taking these pictures to show the world, look what we're doing here, look how efficient we're being. And as she's in the middle of this moving story in Yad Vashem, this woman and a man come like bustling by and kind of shove them to the side, excuse me. And this man starts telling this woman that he's with, I worked in that laundry room, and there was this group of women. I was the only man there, and there was this one woman who she kept all of us alive. Her name was Shayna, and I remember one time I saved her life, but she kept all of us alive, no matter how down in the dumps we were. She always said, guys, we're going to get out of here. We're going to get out of here. And Danny's mother, I can only tell you this story because I heard it with my own ears. The whole time I'm like, no way. Danny's mother's listening to this, and she said, excuse me? She's like, who did you say was in the laundry room with you? He's like, this woman, her name was Shayna. And the two of them look at each other. And they're here in Jerusalem in Yad Vashem. And the two of them meet like 40 years later. Both of them got married, bless you, had a family, and they're with their children in Yad Vashem. And she said to this man, what do you mean that my mother kept you all alive? And he said, your mother, anytime any of us were saying, that's it, I can't do it anymore, she always said, we're going to get out of here. Imagine yourself living in Israel. Imagine yourself being in America. Imagine yourself with a family. Imagine yourself with a husband. And she would paint a picture for us. And she was speaking to her mother afterwards, and her mother said, that's what kept me alive, right? That's what kept me alive. So that's a very extreme story of a Holocaust. But when we're saying someone who doesn't dream for 7 days is ra, that just means they're disconnected. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. His whole book is about what kept people alive during the Holocaust. Those who had meaning, those who attached meaning to their suffering, those who I have a bigger picture here, right? Being able to be connected to what is my bigger purpose here. So we're going to say, this sounds nice. What is my picture? What is my vision? Where do I want to go personally in my personal life and professionally? But how do I do it?